Hey there, welcome back friends. Today we will talk about deployment descriptor and a specific annotation. Now friends, whenever we add a new web project, a new dynamic web project, in this case there are like multiple settings apart from the project name. One of the important setting is dynamic web module version. By default the value is 3.0. But if we check the drop down, there are like multiple versions starting from 2.2 and latest being 4.0. Now by default, if we check, the version gets selected as 3.0, and from 3.0, in fact, a annotation based URL mapping got introduced. Now we will go with the version 3.0 for dynamic web module, and the reason why we are choosing 3.0 is pretty simple. 3.0 version enable us to run the servlet directly, and this is good for demonstration purposes. Alright, so now let us click on next, and we will click on next once again. Let's generate the web.xml deployment descriptor as well, and now finally let us click on finish. Alright, so in here our project got created. Now the reason why we have given the name as annotations, because now we will handle the URL mapping by annotation to start with. Now for example, in here we create a new package. First of all, the package could be like org.steadyeasy.jsp, and we will click on finish, and inside this package let us create a new servlet. Now the servlet name could be, for example, hello, and everything seems to be good enough. Alright, let us click on finish. Here we go. Now definitely there are some errors. The error is because we haven't configured the build path properly. Let us quickly add in the support of the jar file. We need to add the support of servlet-api.jar file. So now by adding this jar file, the error should vanish. Alright, so everything seems to be good enough. Now friends, in here let me expand this. If I show you, we have this annotation web servlet, and let me also show you the deployment descriptor. In here we also have this option of deployment descriptor. Let me show you. Now this deployment descriptor is what? This deployment descriptor is nothing but an option which is based on a file. The name of the file is web.xml. Let me right click and open this with text editor. So here is the file web.xml. Now friends, this file web.xml is nothing but your deployment descriptor. Even if I close this and reopen this file web.xml, the same file will be opened. Here we go. Now friends, the settings which are there inside this deployment descriptor are minimal. Why? Because with the later version of dynamic web module, the settings, the configuration are shifting to annotations, and making use of annotation is the latest and more recommended way of handling things as of now. Alright, so we will talk about a deployment descriptor in couple of minutes. Let me close this, and as of now let me talk about this particular annotation. Now friends, this annotation will provide us the URL pattern for this servlet, and inside the servlet, inside this doGet method, we have some dummy text which is added by Eclipse already, which would be on the web page. Alright, now if we check this URL, after the base URL we have what? We have this hello URL pattern. For example, I change this URL pattern to some other URL pattern. In this case, definitely the URL will get updated. Now for example, in here I refresh this page by restarting the web server, then this URL will crash. Let me refresh this, and here we go. So now there is this 404 not found error. But for example, we try to rerun this servlet, then definitely check the URL. The URL will change, and we would be able to see that the URL would be the base URL slash some other URL pattern. Alright, this will take couple of seconds. Here we go. So here is the URL pattern which is being used currently. So the bottom line is that remember that this particular annotation is used to provide the URL pattern for the specific servlet. Alright, now friends, currently we are making use of what? We are making use of dynamic web module version 3. Now let us add a yet another project, and the name of the project would be deployment descriptor. Here we go. And using this drop down dynamic web module, we will select the web module 2.5. Let us click on next. Let us click on next once again, and in here by default this checkbox generate web.xml deployment descriptor is checked. The reason is very simple, we would require web.xml. Alright, so now let me close this hello.java file. There is a small little typo, let me fix this. And the package name should be like org.steadyeasy.servlet. That would be a better idea. Let us also fix this real quick, that would be good. Let me refactor and rename the package. Alright, now we are done with this annotations project. Let me close this file. Alright, now finally let us navigate to this deployment descriptor project, and first of all let us do a small little thing. Let us add in a new package. The package would be org.steadyeasy.servlet. Let us click on finish, and inside this package we would be adding a new servlet. The name of the servlet would be demo this time, and we will click on next. Everything seems to be okay. Alright, let us click on finish. Alright, now friends, we have added this particular what we say servlet, which is cool. Let us also configure the build path real quick. Let us add the support of servlet API. Alright, now friends, in our previous project, let me show you. If we check the web.xml file, let me open this with text editor. Then after adding the servlet, even then the web.xml file was minimal with welcome file list only. But when it comes to web.xml file for this particular project, deployment descriptor, where the dynamic web module is 2.5, this time way around, if I open up the deployment descriptor, then definitely there are like many more configuration. Why? Because there are like few changes in here. We are not making use annotation, and definitely the URL pattern would be handled by the XML file. So in here, if we check what are these configuration, these configuration servlet and servlet mapping are handling the configuration for our specific servlet. Now friends, if we check this configuration, the configuration is based on the servlet, which is nothing but demo. Here is the fully qualified name, which is cool. Now friends, if there is a question in your mind that who will add this configuration, the answer is it is done automatically by Eclipse. Whenever we add a servlet, this configuration would be added in our web.xml file if our dynamic web module is lower than 3. Alright, now in here, if we check this URL pattern, the URL pattern is /demo. For example, in here, we give the URL pattern as testing maybe and save the changes. And we try to execute the servlet. Then what would be the outcome? Let us restart the web server. Here we go. And easily we can make out that the URL pattern has changed and it is now base URL /testing. Now friends, let me also show you the web.xml once again. Now inside this particular configuration, we can also configure JSP file to get executed automatically. Now how to configure JSP file is something which we will see in our next video. Now friends, definitely the web module version 2.5 is obsolete, but it might happen that you may have to work in older project. So these information related to deployment descriptor, web.xml and how the configuration work is important to know. Alright, so this is it for today's video. In our next video, we will again revisit the same project and we will check a couple of more configuration. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.